In this video, we're going to look at three other SQL commands: delete, update, and drop table. The delete command is used to remove existing rows from a table. And we begin with the keywords delete from, then we put the name of the table, and then we have a where clause with the appropriate condition. And this works just like the where clause in a select command. For example, if I say delete from student, where ID equals 4567890, we're going to find that row and delete it. So the where clause is specifying which rows should be removed from the table. It's possible to remove more than one row at a time. So here I'm deleting from the enrolled table the rows with that same student ID. In this case, the name of the column is student underscore ID, so that's what I specify in the where clause. And there are two different rows with that ID number, and they will both be deleted. Now, in this particular case, the order in which I have done the deletions is actually not the way you would want to do it. The order matters in this case, and that's because in the enrolled table, student ID is a foreign key that refers to the ID column in student. And in this particular case, these two occurrences of the ID number that we're interested in are both referring to the tuple in student for Jose Delgado. And so if I do this deletion here first, if I delete from student first, so there is no Jose Delgado, then the enrolled tuples are going to be referring to nothing. And we have violated referential integrity. So the general rule is that before you delete a row, you want to first remove all references to that row from foreign key columns in other tables. So in this case, in addition to the foreign key references that we have in the enrolled table that refer to values in student ID, there's also ones in majors in. And in this particular case, we have 4 different references to the ID value for Jose Delgado. And so what we want to do is first delete the rows with his student ID from enrolled, then do the same thing for majors in. And we really could have done either of those first. So the order of those two doesn't matter. But then we want to wait until the end to delete the tuple from student, because now we can safely remove it. There are no remaining references to it, and we won't be violating referential integrity if we remove it. Our next command is the update command, and this is used to change values in existing rows. The general syntax: there are 3 clauses. The update clause specifies which table we want to update. The where clause tells me which rows from that table should be updated, and the set clause is where I actually specify the changes that I want to make. For example, let's trace through this command. So the update clause tells me to start with the majors in table. The where clause tells me to focus on rows in which the student ID value is a particular ID. And in this case, there are 2 rows that match that where clause condition. And in both of them, I'm then going to make the change specified by the set clause. And here, it's worth noting that the equal sign is being used for a different purpose. I'm not comparing 2 things the way that I do in the where clause. Rather, I am specifying that the value on the right-hand side of the equal sign should be stored in the column on the left-hand side. This is sometimes called an assignment. So in this case, in both of these department name cells, from the rows given by the where clause, I am going to put the value physics. And so we used to have 2 different values, mathematics and English. They have both been changed to physics. And that's the end of the command. Now in this case, this is probably more than we really want, right? Because if a student changes a major, he or she is probably only changing one of their majors if they have more than one. And we actually have this other problem here, which is we're not supposed to have 2 rows that are identical. And so instead we want to just change one of them. So let's assume that this is the one that should be changed. So he is going to keep his mathematics major but change his English major to a physics major. Well, for that purpose, we're going to have to update the where clause to include that additional condition. And now the where clause is only giving me that one row, and that is the only row that will be changed. If we need to change more than one value in a given row, we can just specify a list of changes separated by commas. So here I'm saying I want to start with the full course table. I then want to find the row that matches this where clause, and that gives me just the first row, because that's where the name of the course is CS105. And then I'm making 3 different changes. So I'm changing the start time, and you can see this value here is being stored in that start time cell. Then I'm changing the end time, and I'm going to take this value and store it there. And then finally I'm changing the room ID value. I'm taking the 6000 and storing it there. And so I've made 3 different changes to that row in this one update command. Our final command is the drop table command. This removes an entire table. The syntax is very simple. So for example, drop table majors in, and it eliminates the table completely. All of the data in that table is gone, as is the table itself. And the system will not ask you if you're sure, so you want to make sure you're sure before you do this. It's a very drastic change. Now, here again we can run into referential integrity issues if the table we're trying to delete is referred to by a foreign key in another table. So if that's the case, we can't drop the table until that other table with the foreign key is dropped first, or there are ways to remove the foreign key constraint from that other table, although we're not going to look at how to do that in this class. So you want to make sure to take care of foreign key issues first, and then you can drop the table.